We're on the old Pensacola to St. Augustine Road, one of the first federal roads built in the territory of Florida, 1824 to 1826, to connect Pensacola, Tallahassee, and St. Augustine. The Pensacola to Tallahassee portion was constructed here in South Santa Rosa County by Daniel Birch, the Quartermaster Department of the U.S. Army stationed at Cantonment Clinch in Pensacola. He surveyed the route, which started with a ferry going from Pensacola to Deer Point, present-day Gulf Breeze. Then where the old Gulf Breeze or the Gulf Breeze post office is today, it follows this road, basically paralleling Highway 98 all the way over to Mary Esther, Fort Walton, then it would skirt up the north shore of Choctawhatchee Bay, and then northeasterly across the Choctawhatchee River, Apalachicola River, and ended up in Mission St. Louis in downtown Tallahassee. And that was built in 1826. Problem is, this southern route was a good route, but there was very few people on the coast back then, so it was hard to maintain once they built it. And eventually it was abandoned about 20 years later for a more northerly route, where the stagecoaches would go from Pensacola up to Ferry Pass, over to Mulat, over to Baghdad, Milton, and then up to Geneva, Alabama, and then back into Florida towards Tallahassee that way. But this was the original route in the 1820s.
Isn't that fascinating? There's the road. And here we have the bluff right here. Right behind us is a bluff. We'll have some photos of that at the other side overlooking the bay, or the sound.
This is also part of the Naval Live Oak Reservation. Back in 1828 to 1832, this was America's first experimental forestry station. President John Quincy Adams got really excited about this. Henry M. Brackenridge was a caretaker of this. Idea was to raise live oaks for the U.S. Navy, because one of the principal shipbuilding materials was live oak. The old USS Constitution, Old Ironsides, was called Old Ironsides because it's made of very dense, very thick live oak trees. Live oak trees only grow in a certain geographical region along the coastal areas from Virginia to Texas. There's a large stand of live oaks here. In 1826, we had the Pensacola Navy Yard established, so the idea was, well, let's have supplies of shipbuilding material next to a Navy Yard. And so they were the first to really cultivate these live oaks. They got all the understory, the underbrush out of them. They grew them. They took care of them. They even grew them from acorns, trying all sorts of different experiments. The problem is, by the time of the Civil War with the Merrimack and the Monitor and ironclad ships, the idea of wooden-hulled warships were obsolete. They became dinosaurs. So the area was sort of forgotten in time. But now it's part of the Gulf Islands National Seashore.
This is all just terribly fascinating.